Sean "Diddy" Combs, a name synonymous with entrepreneurial success in the music industry and beyond, has cultivated an image of immense power and influence over several decades. From his beginnings as a party promoter and intern at Uptown Records, to founding Bad Boy Entertainment, Combs built an empire spanning music, fashion, beverages, and media. His journey has been portrayed as the quintessential American success story, a testament to ambition and business acumen. He has been a chart-topping artist, a producer for legendary musicians, and a mentor to new talent, shaping significant aspects of popular culture. His public persona has long been one of confidence, luxury, and groundbreaking achievement in multiple fields of endeavor. However, this carefully constructed image now stands in stark contrast to the grim reality unfolding in a Manhattan federal courtroom. As of May 2025, Combs is the central figure in a high-stakes criminal trial, facing a battery of serious felony charges that could, if he is convicted, result in a sentence extending from 15 years to life imprisonment. The proceedings, taking place in the Southern District of New York, have captured widespread public attention, not only due to Combs' celebrity status, but also because of the severe nature of the accusations leveled against him. He has entered a plea of not guilty to all 5 counts, setting the stage for a complex and potentially lengthy legal battle that continues to develop. The trial carries significance far beyond the fate of one individual, however prominent. It touches upon broader societal conversations regarding accountability for powerful figures, particularly in industries where imbalances of power can be extreme. The allegations, which include sex trafficking and racketeering, resonate deeply within the context of the #Me Too movement and ongoing efforts to address systemic abuse and exploitation. The outcome of this case is being closely watched as a potential indicator of how the justice system handles accusations against those who have long seemed untouchable due to their wealth, status, and extensive networks of influence within various sectors of society. The charges Combs faces are grave racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution. These are not minor infractions, but felony counts that carry the weight of severe penalties. The trial officially commenced in May 2025, and as of early June, the prosecution has been methodically presenting its case, calling a series of witnesses whose testimonies paint a disturbing picture. The world watches as details emerge, challenging long-held perceptions and forcing a re-examination of a celebrated public figure's legacy, now overshadowed by the dark clouds of criminal allegations and the stark environment of a federal courtroom. Central to the prosecution's strategy against Sean Combs are the charges brought under the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, commonly known as RICO. This powerful federal statute was originally enacted in 1970, primarily designed as a tool to combat organized crime, such as the mafia. Its scope, however, is broad, allowing prosecutors to target individuals who are part of a larger criminal enterprise and have engaged in a pattern of racketeering activity. Understanding the RICO charges is crucial to grasping the full extent of the legal challenge Combs currently confronts in this highly publicized trial. In the context of the Combs case, prosecutors allege that he utilized his various legitimate businesses, which form a significant part of his public image and financial success, as a front or an operational base for a criminal enterprise. This enterprise, according to the indictment, was active over a prolonged period, spanning 2 decades from 2004 to 2024. The allegation is that these businesses were not merely bystanders to illegal acts, but were instrumental in facilitating them, providing resources, cover, or a veneer of legitimacy to the alleged criminal conduct carried out by Combs and potentially others acting under his direction or for his benefit. The pattern of racketeering activity alleged under the RICO charges encompasses a startling array of serious crimes. These include, but are not limited to, sex trafficking, the forced labor of individuals, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and the obstruction of justice. Each of these predicate acts, if proven, contributes to the overarching RICO conspiracy charge. The prosecution aims to demonstrate that these were not isolated incidents but rather interconnected components of a sustained criminal operation, masterminded and led by Combs himself, leveraging his corporate structures to perpetuate these alleged offenses over many years, affecting multiple victims. The gravity of RICO charges cannot be overstated. They allow prosecutors to connect seemingly disparate criminal acts under one umbrella, painting a picture of an ongoing criminal organization. A conviction under RICO often carries severe penalties, including lengthy prison sentences and substantial financial forfeitures, as the law aims to dismantle the economic power base of such enterprises. For Combs, the RICO allegations represent the most complex and potentially the most damaging aspect of the government's case, suggesting a calculated and long-term engagement in criminal behavior far removed from his public persona as a celebrated entertainer and businessman. A significant portion of the prosecution's case relies heavily on the testimonies of individuals who were once part of Sean Combs's inner circle, particularly former employees. These witnesses offer a unique perspective, having allegedly observed or experienced the events in question from a proximity that few others could claim. Their willingness to come forward and testify against a former employer of Combs' stature is a critical development in the trial, providing jurors with first-hand accounts that aim to substantiate the serious allegations. The collective voice of these former staffers is intended to build a credible narrative of the environment Combs allegedly fostered. During the trial, 3 former employees have already taken the stand, each contributing to a consistent and troubling depiction of life within Combs' sphere of influence. A core component of their testimony has been their claim that they personally witnessed Combs engaging in abusive behavior, specifically directed towards his former long-term girlfriend, Cassandra Cassie Ventura. These accounts are vital as they potentially corroborate Ventura's own expected testimony and lend weight to the prosecution's portrayal of Combs as a controlling and violent individual, even within his intimate relationships, often in front of his staff. Beyond witnessing abuse directed at others, some of these former employees have also testified about experiencing abuse themselves while under Combs' employment. These personal accounts of mistreatment add another disturbing dimension to the case, suggesting a broader pattern of misconduct that extended beyond a single relationship. They described a work environment allegedly characterized by fear and intimidation, where professional boundaries were blurred and employees were subjected to unreasonable demands and, at times, direct personal abuse. This testimony aims to illustrate a pervasive culture of toxicity within Combs' organizations. The decision for these former employees to testify publicly is fraught with potential personal and professional repercussions. Speaking out against a powerful and well-connected figure like Combs requires considerable courage. Their testimonies are subject to intense scrutiny, both from the defense during cross-examination and from the public eye. Nevertheless, their accounts are pivotal, offering the jury a glimpse behind the curtain of celebrity and success into a world where, according to their sworn statements, abuse and exploitation were allegedly commonplace occurrences shaping the daily lives of those who worked for the music mogul. Among the most impactful testimonies presented by the prosecution thus far is that of a woman identified in court documents as Mia, also referred to as Victim 4. Mia served as Sean Combs' former personal assistant, a role that inherently placed her in close and frequent contact with the defendant, privy to both his professional dealings and aspects of his private life. Her testimony, delivered over several days, has provided some of the most direct and damaging allegations of personal sexual misconduct by Combs, painting a grim picture of her time in his employ. Mia testified in detail about multiple alleged instances of sexual assault she endured at the hands of Combs. Her account described a pattern of behavior where Combs allegedly exploited his position of power and authority over her. These were not isolated incidents, according to her testimony, but rather a recurring feature of her employment. She recounted specific alleged assaults, providing a narrative that suggests a sustained period of victimization. The nature of these alleged assaults, as described, highlights a profound abuse of trust and authority within an employer-employee dynamic, creating an atmosphere of constant vulnerability for her. Further compounding the allegations of assault, Mia testified that Combs issued threats designed to ensure her silence and compliance. She stated that Combs warned her he would manipulate the public narrative and damage her reputation if she disobeyed his directives or considered exposing his alleged actions. These alleged threats underscore the immense power imbalance prosecutors are seeking to demonstrate, where Combs could allegedly leverage his public relations machinery and influence to control and intimidate those around him, particularly those in subordinate positions who might fear for their careers or personal safety if they spoke out. In a particularly poignant part of her testimony, Mia characterized her relationship with Combs and her experiences as a cycle of violence. This phrase encapsulates the recurring nature of the alleged abuse and the psychological torment she described. Her testimony, which was subject to cross-examination scheduled to continue on June 2, 2025, aims to provide the jury with a deeply personal account of the alleged long-term impact of Combs' conduct. The prosecution hopes her detailed and emotional account will be a cornerstone in proving the charges related to sexual coercion and abuse of power within the alleged criminal enterprise. Section 5. Allegations of extreme intimidation, the testimony of Capricorn Clark. Another key witness for the prosecution has been Capricorn Clark, who once held the significant position of Combs' global brand director. Clark's professional background and her role within Combs' organization lend a particular weight to her testimony, which focused on the allegedly abusive and high-pressure work environment cultivated by the defendant. Her account provided jurors with further insights into the purported methods of control and intimidation that prosecutors argue were characteristic of Combs' operational style, extending beyond personal relationships to professional interactions with his senior staff. Clark testified at length about the pervasively stressful and often abusive atmosphere she experienced while working for Combs. She detailed a workplace where intense pressure was the norm, allegedly coupled with erratic behavior and demeaning treatment from Combs himself. This environment, she suggested, was not conducive to professional growth, but rather one designed to exert maximum control over employees through fear and emotional manipulation. Her testimony aimed to establish that the alleged abusive patterns were not confined to specific individuals, but were part of a broader management style that impacted many within his companies. The most alarming part of Capricorn Clark's testimony involved an alleged kidnapping incident that she stated occurred in 2004. According to Clark, Combs became enraged about a particular issue and, in a shocking display of power, allegedly threatened to throw her into the East River. This was not a vague threat, she implied, but a direct and terrifying confrontation that left her feeling that her life was genuinely in danger. Such an allegation, if believed by the jury, points to a capacity for extreme measures and violent intimidation far exceeding any acceptable employer conduct. The context provided for this alleged kidnapping and threat further illuminates the purported climate of fear. Clark testified that Combs' threat to throw her into the East River was linked to her potentially failing a lie detector test that he was compelling her to take. This detail suggests an environment where loyalty was tested through coercive means, and where failure to meet Combs' expectations could result in terrifying repercussions. Clark's testimony, therefore, contributes to the prosecution's narrative of Combs as a figure who allegedly used severe intimidation tactics to maintain control over his employees and his business operations. Section 6. Corroborating Voices, Deontay Nash and the Pattern of Abuse. The prosecution's case against Sean Combs is being built not only on individual testimonies, but also on the corroboration of key claims by multiple witnesses. Deontay Nash, a celebrity stylist with connections to both Combs and Cassandra Ventura, emerged as another important voice in the trial. His testimony served to support allegations made by others, particularly those concerning the nature of Combs' relationship with Ventura and his alleged propensity for violence, adding another layer to the prosecution's argument of a consistent pattern of abusive behavior. A significant aspect of Nash's testimony was his corroboration of Cassandra Ventura's claims regarding freak-offs. Ventura has alleged that Combs forced her to participate in these encounters, which involved coerced sexual acts with sex workers while Combs filmed. Nash testified that he was aware of these alleged forced encounters, lending credibility to Ventura's account of sexual coercion and exploitation. This kind of corroboration is crucial for the prosecution, as it helps to counter potential defense arguments that such claims are isolated or fabricated by a single individual. Beyond corroborating Ventura's allegations, Deontay Nash also testified about his own alleged experience of physical assault at the hands of Combs. He described a specific incident where Combs allegedly became violent towards him, reportedly throwing him onto a parked car and then proceeding to strangle him. This personal account of alleged physical violence directly implicates Combs in assaultive behavior, separate from the claims made by his former romantic partners or female employees, suggesting a wider scope to his alleged aggressive tendencies towards those around him. The importance of corroborating testimonies like Nash's in a trial of this nature cannot be understated. When multiple individuals, seemingly independently, describe similar patterns of behavior or specific types of incidents, it strengthens the overall credibility of the prosecution's narrative. Nash's account, by supporting Ventura's claims and adding his own alleged experience of violence, contributes to the image of Combs as an individual who allegedly resorted to physical force and intimidation as a means of control, a central theme in the government's case against the music mogul. Section 7, the center of the storm, Cassandra Ventura, takes the stand. Cassandra Ventura, the singer and model professionally known as Cassie, has been a central figure in the allegations against Sean Combs long before this criminal trial commenced. Her previous civil lawsuit, settled swiftly in late 2023, brought many of the disturbing claims into the public domain. Her testimony in this criminal trial was therefore highly anticipated, as she was Combs' long-term romantic partner and allegedly a primary victim of his abusive and controlling behavior. She took the stand within the first 2 weeks of the trial, providing a detailed and emotional account of her relationship with the defendant. Ventura testified extensively about what she described as an abusive and profoundly damaging relationship with Combs, which spanned over a decade. Her testimony painted a picture of a partnership where love and affection were allegedly intertwined with manipulation, physical violence, and extreme psychological control. She detailed numerous instances of alleged abuse, providing the jury with a narrative that portrayed Combs as possessive and prone to violent outbursts. Her account aimed to demonstrate a consistent pattern of coercive control that allegedly defined much of their time together, impacting every facet of her life. A key and particularly disturbing element of her testimony, as indicated in earlier reports and corroborated by other witnesses like Deontay Nash, concerned allegations of being forced by Combs into participating in freak-offs. Ventura described these as coerced sexual encounters with sex workers, which Combs would allegedly orchestrate and often film. She testified that she felt she had no choice but to comply due to Combs' alleged threats and overall control over her career and personal life. This specific allegation speaks directly to the charges of sex trafficking and highlights the severe nature of the exploitation she claims to have endured. Adding a layer of poignant personal context to her appearance in court, it was noted that Cassandra Ventura had recently given birth to her third child on June 3, 2025, just days before or during the period of her testimony. Testifying under such circumstances undoubtedly added to the emotional weight and stress of recounting traumatic experiences in a public forum. Her courage in facing her alleged abuser in court while navigating new motherhood underscored the profound personal toll that such legal proceedings can take on victims seeking justice and accountability for past harms. Section 8. The Shadow of Destroyed Evidence. A firebombing and fingerprints. The integrity and availability of physical evidence often play a crucial role in the outcome of criminal trials. Any suggestion of missing or deliberately destroyed evidence can cast a significant shadow over the proceedings, raising questions about fairness and the ability to ascertain the full truth. In the trial of Sean Combs, the issue of destroyed evidence has emerged as a contentious point, stemming from an investigation into a violent incident that occurred years prior, but is now linked to the broader allegations of a criminal enterprise. An arson investigator provided compelling testimony regarding a 2012 firebombing incident. This incident specifically involved a Porsche belonging to the musician Kid Cudi, who has had past public disputes with Combs. The investigator testified that fingerprint evidence had been recovered from the scene of the firebombing, a crucial piece of forensic evidence that could potentially link individuals to the crime. The existence of such evidence would naturally be of keen interest to both the prosecution, seeking to establish a pattern of intimidation or violence, and the defense. However, the trial took a dramatic turn when it was revealed that this critical fingerprint evidence had reportedly been destroyed at some point after its collection. The circumstances surrounding the destruction of this evidence remain a point of contention and investigation within the trial itself. The absence of such potentially inculpatory or exculpatory evidence creates a vacuum, leaving room for speculation and legal argument about its original significance and the reasons for its disappearance. This development has undoubtedly complicated the presentation of facts related to the 2012 incident. The defense team for Sean Combs immediately seized upon this revelation, motioning for a mistrial. They argued that the destruction of evidence, particularly evidence that the prosecution might have intended to link, however indirectly to their client, prejudiced his right to a fair trial. The presiding judge, after considering the arguments, ultimately denied the defense's motion for a mistrial. However, the defense continues to argue that the prosecution's highlighting of this destroyed evidence is an attempt to unfairly imply a conspiracy or a cover-up involving Combs, even without the evidence itself being presentable or verifiable. Section 9. The Defense Response Strategy, Timeline, and Lingering Questions. As the prosecution continues to build its case against Sean Combs, his defense team, led by prominent attorneys, has been actively working to counter the allegations and challenge the credibility of the witnesses. Their strategy appears multifaceted, focusing primarily on discrediting the accusers and raising doubts about the narrative presented by the government. This involves rigorous cross-examination, pointing out inconsistencies, and suggesting alternative interpretations of the events described by those who have taken the stand against the music mogul. A key tactic employed by the defense involves questioning the reliability of witnesses by highlighting their continued and often seemingly friendly interactions with Combs long after the alleged incidents of abuse or misconduct purportedly occurred. The defense has presented evidence such as text messages or social media posts, suggesting that some accusers maintained amicable or even dependent relationships with Combs. This line of questioning aims to plant doubt in the jurors' minds. If the alleged abuse was so severe, why would these individuals continue to associate with him, sometimes for years afterward? Regarding the controversy surrounding the destroyed fingerprint evidence from the 2012 firebombing incident, the defense is forcefully challenging the prosecution's narrative. They argue that the focus on this missing evidence is a deliberate attempt by the government to insinuate a broader conspiracy implicating Combs without concrete proof. The defense suggests that the prosecution is leveraging the absence of this evidence to create an atmosphere of suspicion, thereby unfairly prejudicing their client in the eyes of the jury, implying guilt by association or through unproven connections to past events. The trial, which began in May 2025, is currently expected to last approximately 8 weeks, with a projected conclusion before the July 4th holiday. As of early June, the proceedings are ongoing, with cross-examination of key witnesses like Mia continuing and additional testimonies anticipated from other individuals, including hotel staff and security personnel who may have knowledge pertinent to the case. The broader implications of this trial are immense, potentially impacting not only Combs' future and legacy, but also sending a powerful message about accountability for powerful figures within the entertainment industry and beyond, regardless of the eventual verdict.